The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network. It's time for the Guillotine Grapevine, a podcast for the land of 10,000 wrestlers. 10,000 wrestlers. Now, here's your host, award-winning wrestling broadcast journalist, Jason Bryant.
And the home opener for the Minnesota Golden Gophers did not go as the Gopher faithful had hoped. This is the Guillotine Grapevine. I am your host, Jason Bryant. Today we will recap Minnesota's 23-9 loss to number 4 Oklahoma State at Maturi Pavilion. Quick rundown of the results before we get to our interviews. We will talk with Daton Fix from Oklahoma State, talk about his match with Ethan Lezak. We'll talk with head coach Brandon Eggum. We'll also talk to Gable Steveson and Mitch McKee. So, how did it go? 125. Nick Piccinini defeated Sean Russell 3-0. This one pretty uneventful. We had some escapes. We had stall call. It just wasn't pretty. Piccinini with a 3-0 win in a battle of All-Americans. At 133, Daton Fix, as we mentioned, picked up a 6-1 victory over Ethan Lezak to give the Cowboys a 5-0 lead. Actually, during that match, John Smith was hit for a team point for control of Matt. And basically, you're seeing that a lot more when coaches approach the table and they don't throw the brick, the challenge brick. They're just, boom, team point. It's going to be something like that unless they're like legitimately asking a question. At 141, Mitch McKee finally gets that folk-style victory over Cade Brock 6-3. Well, that one was worth the price of admission, folks. That was wild and crazy kids all over the place. At 149 pounds, Caden Gefeller knocks off Tommy Thorne 9-3, moving to 157. Steve Blyes with some late heroics beats Andrew Schomer's 8-5 at 157. That took us into the break with 5 decisions and still an 8-6 lead for Oklahoma State. Then 3 straight major decisions by Oklahoma State kind of put this thing out of reach before Andrew Marsden truly iced it with a decision at 197. Gable Steveson made his Pavilion debut and beat All-American Derek White 8-2 at 285. Final score 23-9 in favor of Oklahoma State. Now, we'll take it to our interviews. First, we're going to talk to Daton Fix from Oklahoma State about how he prepared for Ethan Lezak, especially the lizard, the backpack, whatever, his top work. Then we'll talk with Brandon Eggum, who was also talking with Mark Bader, Flow Wrestling, and Roger Moore of themat.com before we head over to Gable Steveson, who also was talking with members of the media, and then we finish things up with Mitch McKee talking about his battles with Cade Brock and his new hairstyle. That's what we've got on this episode of the Guillotine Grapevine. Hope you enjoy. See you next time at Maturi Pavilion, right? Gophersports.com, all your Gopher-related info. TheGuillotine.com for all your Minnesota wrestling information, high school, college, international. It's a great time to be a Minnesota wrestling fan. Cue the loon.
Now talking with Cowboy 133-pounder redshirt freshman Daton Fix, fresh off a win, 6-1, pretty impressive over Ethan Lezak, 2-time All-American, guy wrestled in the national finals with a unique style of wrestling. What is your game plan coming into an opponent that's kind of as wiry and as good on top as he is?
There was really no specific game plan for on bottom. Just really get to my feet and get out. That was really all there was to it. And I found a way to get a reversal, and that pretty much sealed the match.
Last time we spoke, we talked about the opportunity to go 25 or 33. Right now you've settled into 133. Was that a coach's decision? Was that your decision, or was it a combination of both?
Probably a combination of both. It's best for the team, and I feel good at 133. I'm wrestling well, and I can really focus on getting better at wrestling.
This trip, when it was on the schedule, you didn't wrestle Seth Gross last night, although coming into this week, it's like, man, I can go Gross Lezak back to back. How did you prepare for this trip?
I was really excited for it. It's my first college debut, really, and I was looking forward to wrestling Seth Gross and Ethan Lezak, but I only got the opportunity to wrestle one, and I took advantage of it and went out and competed.
Again, going back to Lezak here, Minnesota, when you look at him on top, you got that reversal. Preparation-wise, in the practice room, what does John and Zach and the crew go over when you have a guy like that? You said it didn't really impact you a whole lot, but there's probably a little extra work done in that bottom position.
We work on the mat all the time, and we work on getting reversals. So I've been in that situation hundreds of times. So just instinct, and found a way to go up on top.
This past summer at the Junior World Championships, you didn't have a chance to you had the chance, but you didn't finish up with that, repeating as a champion. Has that bronze medal finish, has that really kind of fired you back up to get on the mats for your first college season?
I mean, I've been looking forward to this year for as long as I can remember. I've dreamt of being a Cowboy and representing Oklahoma State, so they didn't take too much to get me fired up for this year.
They know wrestling out here in the Midwest. They had a pretty good environment last night in Brookings at South Dakota State, a very vocal crowd here at Minnesota. What's it like coming into these other gyms and sitting there and they're going to throw your best shot at you most of the time, and, you've got a hostile environment?
I mean, I like it. I like when I like big matches, and if the environment's hostile, then so be it. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do what I do and try to put points on the board.
Christian Ball's originally from Stillwater, Minnesota. Now he's in Stillwater, Oklahoma, on your team, made the trip. His dad's been a part of the program. And did you ask him any advice on how to deal with the cold weather up here, even though it's still November? We got snow on the ground still.
Yeah, well, there's actually snow on the ground in Oklahoma, too, which is really surprising. But just got to stay bundled up.
Ups and downs. Some guys well, some guys not so well. So,
when did you guys make the decision for Gable to pull the red shirt?
Probably at some point during this week. We've talked about it a little bit, before, potentially doing the Oklahoma State match. We thought it'd be great, be against a really good team. He had a good opportunity against a top opponent, and we knew it could be a big match for the team scores. So, but we wanted to get a couple duels in, just see him wrestle a few more matches, and to make sure that we felt like he was ready. And so he came out, did a really good job, and scored early, and looked good. So that was exciting, but it's kind of been a work in progress over the last week or so.
Did it seem like he, at least from my eyes, right? It's easy to be a sideline, whatever, armchair quarterback. He scored a bunch of points early, and then I'm not going to say he shut it down, but he had maybe more trouble scoring later on.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit. He said it was pretty. He said after he scored all those points, he said the Oklahoma State kid wouldn't address anything, wouldn't come into him at all, wouldn't pressure at all. Just every time, even when he get to an underhook and throw by, the guy was just, the second he would get there, he said he was so defensive and pulling away. He said, I couldn't figure out a way to get this guy to wrestle. And he said, as the first thing he said when he came off, it was really disappointing. I know he's frustrated when people don't come out there and wrestle. And he said, man, the guy won't even concede a position, so I said, that's how it's going to be. Sometimes when you wrestle, you're going to wrestle different guys with different styles. And we thought this guy would be a little bit more aggressive than he was tonight. But at the same time, he gives up those points early, and it probably, I think it made him a little nervous too. So he slowed down a little bit.
Have you had a talent like Gable that you've coached before?
We've had some great guys. I mean, going through here, like Dustin Slater is one that comes to mind. You had some guys that developed that maybe coming out of high school weren't like him, like Cole Conrad and stuff. They're really, really amazing. But Gable's, he's one of the best, man. So without saying it, he's got to be one of the guys at the very top without knowing, thinking through it. I mean, he's amazing. But this is folks are wrestling, and like I tell guys a lot of times, being a 3-time world champion, he's going to have to work hard here. A lot of people say, man, nothing harder than winning an NCAA Division I national title, and he's got a lot of work. And like you said, this match could be different, if you at any point. So, but it was exciting for him to come out and do really well. I know he had a good time and he was pumped. So he's a talented kid. He's a good kid, and we're excited to have him fill out the end of the lineup.
He's like almost like a little bit of a showman too. He was out there just for 3-4 seconds doing a little foot dance and stuff like that. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Do you care at all? Either way?
Yeah, it's hard, at some point, to be honest, you're thinking, you're frustrated, knowing you're losing the duel. And so there's a bit of that competitiveness, but all in all, I think you got to be really smart and you got to make sure that when you're out there, you're always respectful and stuff. So don't be, I have no problem with the guy going out and having fun and stuff like that, but I want to be really smart because I don't want a guy going out there and losing a point for doing something like that. But, He enjoys wrestling, man. I mean, you see him. I know that was one of the things that he was trying to do. He was trying to get the guy to wrestle a little bit more there, and he figured if he stood up straight and give him his leg, maybe he would attack him or something and create some type of scramble or some type of offense, So, but yeah, you got to be smart, right?
How'd you feel about 157? You said he had a broken hand, and he got a takedown at the very last second, right?
Yeah. Steve's big thing is he just said, I could sense it with the guy. He got in deep and then high crotch and got rolled through and gave that takedown early. But he said I could just see it in the eyes, the guy was ready to give me the win, but it was hard because he couldn't post. He couldn't do a lot of things. He couldn't lock his hands. He loves throwing, like he was in positions. But, yeah, he had a broken hand. He'll have a surgery on Monday. And then, but he said at the same time, he said, Oklahoma State's coming to town. He says, I'm not missing this one, no matter what. And it was a crazy break. He'll be back. Right now, they said, well, we probably won't take him, obviously, to the Cliff Keen. So the next time he'll be back will be South Beach Duels. But, boy, that was pretty amazing for him to come out and get that win. And he's a tough kid. If anybody could do it, Steve Blige, is the type of kid to do it. I'm pretty proud of him. That was exciting because he's been a good kid. He works so hard, and I know a lot of kids do, but I get to see the kids that I work with, and so I had a lot of good feelings for him tonight.
I got another full day in Minnesota. What we got on the docket tomorrow?
Yeah, we're excited. Tomorrow will be a fun day. We're going to show you the new wrestling room, which is great. There's some things that aren't finished, but you'll see it. It's phenomenal, and first time we'll get on the mat will be this week. So tomorrow we might get some guys on it, but it's still a little chalk on there. They're cleaning it up, but it's really unique. It's amazing. So I'm glad you guys can show it off.
Where should we go get dinner tonight if I don't make it to the social?
Best place?
Tell them to get a Juicy Lucy. Go down to Matt's.
Yeah, I guess get a Juicy Lucy. Go down to Matt's. All right.
Coach, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yep.
As far as Gable goes, going back to the Bison Open, 3-1 beats Tanner Hall, who was an All-American 2 years ago. Did that really help play into the decision, knowing that, okay, this guy, he's right there with the top guys, and, Tanner's thinking about redshirt, and he's waiting for the weight class to clear out. But, was that win last week against Tanner Hall kind of maybe the final nugget?
Yeah. I mean, that was we knew Tanner Hall's one of the top heavyweights in the country. So we knew that he was ready, But we to be honest, we've known this for a long time. It was just really wanting him to come out there and see how he wrestles. And you could see in that match with Tanner Hall, though, completely different. He gets rewarded for exploding through guys in freestyle, and he ends up getting a tech fall against Tanner Hall in freestyle. And then in a folk style match, you could see it seemed like in that match maybe a strategy of, I'm going to try to slow it down. I'm going to try to keep wrestling out of it here, and maybe I can get to a spot where we can throw this into a riding time situation or something like that. And Gable knows that. At least he says that's what he senses, and sometimes in matches. But it was when you can beat a guy like Tanner Hall, who is just a hardworking, great heavyweight, he's ready. And then tonight he comes out and scores some big points, and he's a competitor, right? I mean, we've seen it. We've all seen it since he was a young kid. This is a barely an 18-year-old kid that's wrestling at heavyweight, and so he's going to have a lot of challenges this year. I know he will, and I think he's excited to meet that. So tonight was a great start for him. I'm glad he had.
It's been a big weekend for Gopher wrestling. It had the gala. Tony Dungy came into town. He's a Gopher alum, and to bring in a program like Oklahoma State, despite the score being what it is, what does this weekend mean for Minnesota wrestling?
Yeah, you talked about it. I mean, Tony Dungy was a past alumni here for the Gophers. The fact that he would take time out of his day to come back for a wrestling team, for the Gopher wrestling team, to help us raise funds. We got a new wrestling room, and now we're working on the locker room. It's really amazing because we all know his schedule. We know his status as a person, and he had to leave last night right afterwards to get out to New York for Sunday Night Football, and it's pretty amazing. Everyone was pumped. He pulled out a helmet. He signed it right there at the gala, and that thing went for a lot, but it was a very successful night. Everybody had a good time. So, I was speechless at the end of it. It was really amazing to see the generosity of the people here and around this community.
Talked to Daton Fix about his win over Lezak. From the opposite viewpoint, when you got a kid as talented as that, how do you prepare your guy knowing that he's going to be super prepared on bottom, he's going to be super prepared where he's strong with his slide by, he hit that right off the bat. So, what was the game plan for Lezak coming in, and what adjustments do you have to make with him in the room next time these two face each other?
On top, I watched Fix get against South Dakota State yesterday. He got ridden pretty hard, and that's probably, if there's one area that I'd say that maybe people would say isn't his strongest suit, it would probably be on bottom. And so disappointed that they weren't calling near fall on Fix there. I mean, it is what it is. You got to get all the way up above a 45 degrees. And if the ref starts counting, we all know what happens, but the ref let him stay in that position, and then it was different. But if you give him count, you got to turn down. And then I think you see a lot of points. In the scrambles, I could see how comfortable Lezak was. That's the thing we talked about. It's like, wow, even when he gets to your legs, if there's anything I said in the team meeting afterwards, I said I would never have thought that Lezak could feel that comfortable on his feet with him. For Fix, he's a tough guy, right? You're thinking this guy's long, he scrambles very well, and I'm worried about going underneath him. But Fix is a stud. I mean, get a win against Lezak. I know he's ranked. Fix is already ranked very high, but I mean, I was impressed. I told him great match afterwards. I mean, I'm coaching my guys, and I get excited, and I want to win, but I have a lot of respect for great wrestlers, and he's one of them, no question about it. So he's going to be a good one down the road too.
Just general thoughts. I'm sure you already talked about this, but I mean, the last couple of years, you guys have been outscored 64-6, pretty one-sided. You got to feel a bit better today. I mean, about performance from 23-9, still not what you want, but more competitive against a top 5 team.
Yeah, like I said earlier, to have won at heavyweight against the number 3 ranked guy in the country, to have Steve Blythe come out and win with a broken ham, to have Mitchell McKee win a match against a guy he's never beaten, Folkstyle, and to lose this duel regardless of rank, I would say never would have happened. If I marked on paper yesterday and looked at those, I knew we could win those. If we won those, we'd win others. Russell Lezak, I mean, I'm my own guy, but I think those matches are easy turnarounds. I could see it with Lezak. In this match, it's confusing to me. He gets 2 stall calls in the first period against, and Pincinini is a great wrestler, but it was shocking the way that sometimes it was called, right? I mean, I heard a lot of people talking about that, but it is what it is. But he still had his opportunities. He had Pincinini on the ropes, and you got to close the deal. You got to do a little bit more. So him and Lezak, you win those matches, everything changes.
All right, Gable, last time when we talked, it was not the finest performance or finish for you in Slovakia at the Junior Worlds. Now you're in the starting lineup, had the red shirt pulled. Let's just go back to the Bison last week. You beat Tanner Hall 3-1 in sudden victory. Was that kind of the linchpin for you to say, you know what, I'm ready to be out here. Let's go. Let's pull the trigger.
Actually, we discussed pulling a red shirt a long time ago. We just kind of played it, so the hype was there, and just people, and we got a big crowd today. Not just because we wrestled real good, even though we lost, but I feel like we got more things to do just to be better, and yeah.
At your age, there's a lot of pressure on you. You're coming in as one of the top recruits in not just in the state, but in wrestling history. How hard is it for you, to try to push that out and temper your expectations against the expectations of the world to go out and just win matches?
Just wrestle my style. That's what I did last week against Tanner. I think I could have opened up more and just took the lead over. But today, that's my goal, and that's what I kind of did.
What were the emotions when you walked out that tunnel for the first time?
I don't even know, because last year I was sitting on the bench, and when we were sitting on the benches over here, and I was like, yo, 1 year ago today, I was sitting on the bench like, yo, I'm ready to go out there right now. And so, this opportunity I could not pass. I had to come out today. It was just the vibe and feeling was crazy. The fans were crazy, and I loved it.
Fix, another young rising star. Just, your guy lost, but there's a couple of young guys that are going to be a lot to pay attention to you guys in the next few years.
Fix, great wrestler. He's a great person too. I really like him. We've been friends since 2015 when he went to Cadet Worlds together in Bosnia, and we just been friends ever since. And that's one of my close buddies in the wrestling world, and I really like him.
How'd you feel about the way you wrestled today? Aside from winning, yeah.
I feel I wrestled great. I opened up, moved my feet more. It was better than last week and better than the Junior Worlds, but today I felt real good.
You like putting on a show? You did a little footwork there for a few seconds. You got the crowd going. Afterwards, you're throwing your arms up. Do you enjoy the spotlight?
I love the spotlight. I love the fans here. I love when it's just 2 people out there and you got 5,000 people watching you. You can't beat that. So I just do me, and that's what I like to do.
What's your favorite part about being in school, whether it's college, whether it's classes, whether it's friends? What's your favorite thing about being here in Minnesota?
Obviously, the friends part is real big, but, it's just your own time as college. It's just on you. You don't have to go to school 7 hours a day in high school. You go to school at this time, you get a break, and I just really like that. It's more open, more free to do you.
What do you like most about wrestling here?
The spotlight. The spotlight, man. I live for the spotlight. This is me. Yeah.
Last thing, one of the big dynamics, you come in here, your brother wrestles here. He's coming off of an injury right now, but what's that weight like to know that when you and your brother finally get to be back in the same lineup again? What's that anticipation like?
Last time we were in a lineup was probably my freshman year in high school, and we planned this. We waited for this a long time, and hopefully next week it comes out. We're wrestling the same duel, but we planned this for a long time. It feels real good to have him coach me on the sidelines, but it's just up from here.
He at the Junior Worlds last year in Finland. He's in your corner. He's like a brother, an older brother, but he's also like another coach. What is that relationship like outside of the sport of wrestling, or is it all wrestling all the time with you two?
No, it's not all wrestling. We don't revolve around wrestling. Wrestling is just something we do. And outside of wrestling, we do things. We go to the mall. We like clothes. You just got to look good. We like taking pictures, of course. I mean, it's just the vibe from here. Like, when you come in here, you flip the switch. All right, we're on point. Like, we got to do us. But outside of here, it's just we have fun. I'm an 18-year-old kid. He's 22 years old, and we just do that age group type of thing.
Had you never beaten him in folk style?
No.
So, coming into this match, is there game planning? I know you guys have wrestled 100 times. Or is it just like, I know what he's going to do, he knows what I'm going to do?
Just wrestle, I guess. Just get to my positions on the feet, ride hard. I think the biggest thing is just a lot of matches out here. Just the guy who wrestled harder was the guy who won, and I knew that if I wrestled as hard as I possibly could, then good things would happen. And
got it going at the beginning, and the crowd went nuts right away. Do you hear that? Do you feed off that? Do you ignore it?
Yeah, I mean, going into the third, I went down, and as I was like putting my hands down, I heard the crowd like erupt going into the third when I went down, and it just like gave me like a little bit of energy to just get out of there and get a takedown. And that's all that was going through my mind then was escape takedown after I heard all that.
Does that feel like anything else you've wrestled before, had the crowd like that, felt those emotions?
I mean, this was a pretty awesome environment. There was a lot of people, and to get a win like that was amazing. And then to see Steve Blights get a win like that, and Gable get a big win, it was a lot of fun. But our team's got not a lot of improvements technically to make. I think just we come out there and grind a little harder next time and do what we do. We're going to be up there when it comes March, so I'm feeling good about it.
Let's do a couple more. They're trying to
Sure. First duel, solid performance. How do you build on this and make sure that it's not like, oh, do great at the beginning and then, because the season's so long, how do you make sure to maintain?
Yeah, I think now going up a weight, I think I'm able to improve myself during the season a lot more than I was previously, because the main focus was, all right, I need to make weight for next weekend in every workout during the week, where now it's like, weight's not even a problem. Like, I worry about that like the day before. So all week long, I'm able to make adjustments, make improvements, work on my conditioning, whatever I need to do, almost every day of the week. So it's going to be, just keep going up from here.
Where have you made the biggest jump since last year?
I think I'd say on my feet, just being able to be smarter on my feet, in some positions and get to my ties and get to my attacks. Scoring in front headlocks when I need to score, pulling them, scoring, and just wrestling harder, I guess. I feel like I'm wrestling a lot harder than I was before. I don't know why, but I'm always ready to go now. Ready to go.
You got this great hair in the past, and it's what happened?
Oh, where's the man bun?
It was a bet.
No, I just I wanted something new. One day I just was like, you know what, I'm shaving all my hair, so I shaved it all, and then a couple days later I went with the mohawk. Safe to say, Coach Becker doesn't like it that much, but Eggum loves it, so we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it for a little while.
Support wrestling in the land of 10,000 wrestlers by subscribing to The Guillotine. 9 issues a year for just $20, the best value in Minnesota wrestling. Subscribe at theguillotine.com/subscribe.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.